Good day, my name is Erwin Diaz from BSHM3B, and our topic for today is consumer rights protections and product liability law. What is consumer rights? Every consumer has a right for their protections to get a product or item safely. We have a lot of rights to make sure the consumer that the item that they want to get is having a quality and legit. Let's talk about the consumer rights content. Right to safety. The right to safety is to be protected against productions, processes, and services that are hazardous to health or life. The right to choose. The right to choose is to be able to select from a range of products and services offered at competitive prices with an assurance of satisfactory quality. Right to be informed. Right to be informed is to be given a path needed to make an informed choices and to be protected against dishonest or misleading advertising and labeling. Right to consumer education. The right consumer education is to acquire knowledge and skills needed to make an informed, confident choices about goods and services while being aware of basic consumer rights and responsibilities and how to act on them. Right to be heard. Right to be heard is to have a consumer interest represented in the making and executions of government policy and in the development of products and services. Right to seek redressal. Right to seek redressal is to receive a fair settlement of just claims, including compensations for misrepresentations should the goods or unsatisfactory services. Let's move on to consumer protection law. What is consumer protection law? Consumer protection laws offer an important parts of reliable market economy. While buyer was once the motto of the free market, these regulations helps keep seller honest with no threat of unpleasant surprises. Key Consumers Protection Law. Federal Security Act. One of the most important consumer protections in finance is the Security Act of 1933, which was enacted during the Great Depression. The Act strictly limits the sales of investment contracts, securities, and requires issuers to disclose the details of their financing and business plans. The Act also established the Security and Exchange Commissions, which enforce security laws and punish violations. Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act was passed in 1970 to regulate the actions of credit information, which is frequently used to determine mortgage and lending rates. The law limits who can access a consumer credit history and prohibits lenders from providing outdated or inaccurate information. The law also allows consumers to read their own credit reports and to contest any inaccurate information. DOOD-Frank Act. The DOOD-Frank Act, Wall Street's Reform and Consumer Protections Act, usually shortened to DOOD-Frank Act, was a sweeping reform of U.S. financial regulations in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. The Act stepped up oversight of bank and financial institutions, particularly those deemed to have been responsible for the Great Recessions, and created the Financial Stability Oversight Council, with the ability to break up banks that were too big to fail, or to increase the received requirements. It also established the Consumer Finance Protections Bureau, which regulates subprime, mortgage, and other predatory lending practices. Avoiding scams. According to the book of the truth about According to the book, The Truth About Avoiding Scam by Stephen Weissman, scam artists always take advantage of whatever is happening and particular place in time. In the wake of housing bust of 2008, for example, there were a lot of money foreclosures resources that caused people to lose the quality of their house, so-called rescuer. Keeping an eye on scams. Closely review every item on your monthly bills. If there is a transactions you don't recognize, questions the creditor in writing. If you think a charge is fraudulent, also notify your card company in writing no later than 60 days after the charge appears. Customers should use a separate email account for their online shoppings. This method helps about spam. Also never respond to email asking you to confirm recent transactions after you shop because they can be phishing scams. These are the important types of consumer protection case. Deceptive Trades Practice Statutes. The Federal Trade Commission Act, or FTCA, first enacted in 1914. It is important to Federal Consumers Protection Statutes. It is created the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, which is charged with enforcing antitrust statutes and promoting consumer protections. The FTC, Bureau of Consumer Protections, investigate consumer complaints regarding deceptive trades, practices, and other violations of consumer protection statutes. Stated also their own consumer protection statutes that guard against deceptions and fraud by businesses and individuals that sell goods or services. Consumer Legal Remedies Act is one of the most comprehensive consumer protection statutes in the country. Debt collection statutes. States and federal laws protect consumers from improper debt collections activities. The Federal Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, or FDCPA, broadly defines a debt collectors and anyone using mail or other instruments of interstate commerce to attempt to collect a debt. Protections is limited to personal, family, and household debts, and it therefore does not include business debts or individual debts incurred for business purpose. It sets limits on the time of day during which debt collections may contract consumers, and it requires students the case communicating with consumer except through litigations. Upon receipt of the written request, the FDCPA also provides a 30 days period during which the consumers may dispute validity of the debt and request verification. Banking and credit statutes. A person's credit scores has become a critically important piece of information which has an impact not only his or her ability to purchase a home or a car, but also employment prospects in many cases. Credit reporting agents, or CRAs, are private entities with little transparency of oversight, so several statutes protect consumers against false or inaccurate credit reporting. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA, requires CARS to provide consumer with informations contained in their files on that consumers and to verify any information stipulated by a consumers. A 2003 amendment to the law. The Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act also consumers to obtain one credit report every year, free of charge. Real Estate Statutes. The Real Estate Settlements Procedure Act, or RESPA, prohibits certain deceptive practice in real estate transactions, including payments of kickback between real estate agents, construction companies, mortgage brokers, and lenders. Lenders are required to provide a good faith estimates of loan costs similar to the disclosure required by TILA. A consumer purchasing real estate is also entitled to a comprehensive statement known as a HUD-1, showing how the purchase price is to be disbursed at closing. Privacy statutes. The security of consumers' personally identifiable informations, or PII, is critically important as a means of guarding against identified thieves and other forms of fraud. Numerous statutes regulate how certain industries handle and store consumer PII. One of the most comprehensive laws in the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, which sets national standards for medical record keeping in order to protect consumers. Protected health information. Automobile statutes. The Highway Safety Act of 1970 created the National Highway Traffic Safety Administrations, or NHTSA, which is partly charged with enforcing consumer safety laws with regard to automobiles. At the state's level, level laws protect consumer against false or misleading practices by used car dealers. Product safety laws. Product safety laws. In addition to the FTCA federal law, like the Consumer Product Safety Act, or CPSA, and the Federal Food and Drug Act, or FDA, requires consumers' products, particularly food, drugs, and cosmetics, to meet various safety standards. Consumers' Product Safety Commissions and the Food and Drugs Administrations enforce many of these laws and regulations. Product liability. Most consumers' protection statutes related to product safety are aimed at preventing injuries from occurring. If a customer is injured by a defective product, the common law doctrine of product liability allows them to sue for damage. Most states recognize at least 3 types of defective that could support claims. A design defect when a product is inherently unsafe, manufacturing defect, and a defect occurring during the production process, or a marketing defect when a product is advertised or promoted for an improper use that cause an injury. What is product liability law? Defective or dangerous products are the cause of thousands of injuries every year. Product liability law is the set of legal rules concerning who is responsible for a defective or dangerous product, but they are different from ordinary injury law. This set of rules sometimes make it easier for uninjured persons to recover damage. Product liability refers to a manufacturer or seller being held liable for placing a defective product into the hand of consumer. Responsibility for a product defect that cause injury lies with all sellers of the product. who are in distribution chain. In general terms, the law requires that a product meet the ordinary expectations of the consumers. When a product has an expected defect or danger, the product cannot be said to meet the ordinary expectations of the consumer. These are the types of product defect. Under any theory of liability, a plaintiff in a product liability case must prove that the product that caused injury was defective and that the defect made the product unreasonably dangerous. There are three types of defective that might cause injury and give rise to manufacturer or supplier's liability. Design defects present in the product from the beginning, even before it is manufactured, in that something in the design of the product is inherently unsafe. Manufacturing defects. These that occur in the course of the product manufacture or assembly. Marketing defects. Flaws in the way a product is marketed, such as improper labeling, insufficient instructions, or indicate safety warnings. That's all. Thank you so much.